Hello, everyone. How are we today? Pretty good. Good. Thank you, first of all. Thank you very much for coming. Social inclusion in sports, very near and dear to my heart. Something I'm very passionate about. Hopefully that passion will come out today, and we'll have a good time here during this presentation. Also, I brought a former athlete of mine. His name's Trey King. He's going to get up here and introduce himself in just a minute. Whenever I'm talking about inclusion and special needs, Special Olympics, I like to show this video. Some of you may have seen it. It was rolling around on Facebook for a while, but I like showing this. Get things started.
Can you do anything? Really? Yeah. Anything at all? Yeah. Anything at all? And are you smart? Smart. Are you kind? And are you patient?
Yes. No, it's not scary, so exciting.
It's so exciting.
Yeah. I get to go Disneyland.
You get to go to Disneyland?
Yeah.
We are going to Disneyland tomorrow. So downtown is not something scary?
No, not scary at all.
It's not scary at all?
No.
So this girl's actually pretty famous now. She's been on, actually she's on the new commercial for Target. If you saw it, they got like kids doing stuff and dressed up. She's one of the kids in the commercial, which is pretty cool. So as I mentioned before, I was a head bocce coach at North Hagerstown High School with Unified Sports, and Trey was he's part of one of my first teams. I think it's been 9 years I've been coaching. And I brought him along today. I think he'll be able to bring an element to the presentation. He lived it. He was part of the team and part of the whole program. So give him a minute to introduce himself.
Good afternoon, folks. It's good to be here with you. I'm Bobby's #1 cheerleader today. He wanted me to come kind of give a personal account of my experience. I'll do that later on at the end of the presentation. But just so you get a little acquainted with me, my name is Trey King. I'm a Maryland native, but I have very much love for the entire state of West Virginia. I just finished up my bachelor's in May at West Virginia Wesleyan. Some of you may be familiar with it. Right now, I just started the first semester of graduate school at University of Maryland, trying to get a degree in healthcare administration. Very tired of school at this point, but just got to truck on through. So that's a little bit about me. I'll let Bobby carry on with this presentation, and I'll see you all at the end.
I may or may not have added that little note in there about me being his favorite without him knowing.
Oh yeah, we're good.
I don't know. So really with this presentation, I want to sort of start out by letting you know the journey that I took to be where I am and to be affiliated with Unified Sports and Special Olympics. And then I want to really get into the Unified Sports and what it brings, not just to the athletes involved, but everyone that's associated with it. Just like Trey, I'm basically from Hagerstown, Maryland, been there most of my life. I live in Pennsylvania now, right across the border, but I still teach in Washington County, Maryland. I went to North Hagerstown High School just like Trey, went to McDaniel College for my undergrad and got my master's degree from here. I finished up in August of 2015. Dr. Bolger helped me through that a little bit. Had a lot of work experience. Most of it actually was with kids. Wasn't really my plan. It just happened to be like, oh, here's a summer camp. Why don't you do that? Or, whatever it was that I could do, make a little money. I teach at 2 different schools currently. I'm an elementary PE teacher at Pleasant Valley Elementary as well as Williamsport Elementary, 2 very different schools. Both have inclusive classrooms, so I get everybody, which I love. I've been a head track and field coach at North Hagerstown High School, but the main one is in bold there, the head unified bocce coach. That's really why we're here to talk about the unified sports. Special education work, this is also something I'm very passionate about. It's sort of similar to unified sports, but it's its own separate entity. At the beginning of Unified Sports, Special Olympics was sort of running the show, but then they sort of took a step back and allowed the school systems to take over and take the reins of the Unified Sports. So I started a long time ago when I was in middle school. I went to summer camp. I was a junior camp counselor with a special needs camp. Just, again, my dad needed daycare and we knew the lady running it. So that was my first time being introduced to students with special needs and being in that community, that environment. The Tournament Champions was something that my college held, McDaniel College, and it's basically a Special Olympics event but with no affiliation. And as freshman football players, the head coach required us to go volunteer. And I did it one time. I was pretty apprehensive. I wasn't sure about it. But as soon as I showed up, I was good. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I ended up volunteering myself for my remaining 3 years there playing football at McDaniel. I worked Inclusion YMCA summer camps. I became a substitute teacher. Good and bad experiences there. Did a lot of special needs work with the substituting. Some school systems had it together. Some schools could have used some work there. So I got to see both sides of the coin on that one. Teaching, obviously, I have students with special needs every day. Bocce's a huge one. And I've been able to do a lot of things with the Special Olympics. And you'll hear about some of the opportunities that my students have had through Unified Sports and through the Special Olympics here in a little bit. But this was a nice picture they took. My buddy Paul there, he was a Special Olympic athlete for me. And we were able to go to Capitol Hill and speak to Congress on behalf of Unified Sports. So we'll get into that one here in a little bit. Today I want you to do really 3 big things. I want you to learn something about Unified Sports. Hopefully I can teach you and educate you on some things. I want you to laugh a little bit, hopefully. Don't want this to be too mundane and monotonous. Again, I want my passion to come through, my enthusiasm, and I want you to fall in love. I really do with Unified Sports and all the work that goes into it and everything. It is a fantastic program, and that's the big one. So my whole goal, as far as my journey goes, is I want to play football. That was it. I was a big high school football guy and just wanted to go to college and play football, and hopefully that worked out. And if not, I'll just get education on the way. Let's do something easy. Let's just be a gym teacher. That can't be too difficult. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just be a cop like my dad. Well, that didn't really work out. And we all have life-changing moments, and I've had 2 big ones for me that I'm going to share today. Some of them are the same. We graduate, whether it's high school or college. We get married. We have kids. We retire. So a lot of people can share the same experiences. Some of them are different, and unless you're a teacher, you're probably not going to share into some of these experiences that I did. But it was huge for me, going from being a football player to going into the classroom. McDaniel College got us in there early. So my sophomore year, I'm in a classroom. I'm basically just watching the whole time, whole semester. 2 days a week, I'm just hanging out, watching this guy teach PE. And at the end of the semester, I taught one class, one lesson. It was on the shot put, 6th grade middle school class. And I have no idea anything about a shot put. I know what I was doing, but I go, I make my little lesson plan, and I'm pretty excited about it. And I get up there, standing in front of this classroom of kids, and I teach my lesson. And I remember when the lesson was over, the teacher came up to me. He said, "Bobby, how do you think that went?" I said, "Sir, I have no idea how that went, but I know this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life." I got up there in front of everyone, and all those eyes were on me, and they needed me, and I needed them. I didn't know I needed them, but I did, and it completely changed my life. So now my whole focus is different. Football is an afterthought. I mean, I continued to play, but it really wasn't anything. I had to teach. I needed to be up there. I needed to be with those kids. I needed to, hopefully teach them some things and change their lives for the good. And it was mind-blowing, the difference. Just that one moment in my life changed everything. I wake up every day looking forward to go to work. I can't wait to be there. I can't wait to be around my kids. I mean, work is my happy place, and I'm not kidding about that. I'm not exaggerating. That's it. I have no stress when I'm at work. That's where it goes. I get to hang out with little kids all day. We get to laugh and joke, and I'm a kid at heart, so it's wonderful. I know how lucky I am to experience that, and I really hope that you guys get a similar experience, no matter what it is you do, whatever it is you love, whatever it is you're passionate about. I really hope you get the same opportunity I have, because I'm really, really lucky to be able to have that happen. So I went around for a while. Being a PE teacher, if that's what anybody in here wants to do, it's tough to get hired. Everybody wants to be a PE teacher, and there's only so many positions available. And so I spent about 1.5 years substitute teaching. I mentioned that a little while ago, until, actually it was a year, and then I got a call from North Hagerstown High School. "Hey, do you want to be the head track and field coach?" Well, I don't really know anything about track and field, but yeah, I'll do it. Get my foot in the door. So February 1st, I was hired, and March 1st, the season started. So I busted my butt, and I taught myself everything I could in a month to get ready for track and field. Once that happened, I did get my foot in the door in Washington County, and they offered me a job to teach halftime PE, which was great, but I wanted full-time, so I turned it down. Full-time spot never came. A couple interviews, didn't work out. So 4 days before school started, I get a call. Hey, so how do you feel about this halftime PE spot? Our person that we did hire, they backed out. Sounds good. I'll take it. So I started at halftime, and we had a professional development day, which sometimes aren't the most productive days for PE teachers, but this one was. And it was my first one, which was great. A gentleman from the Special Olympics of Maryland showed up and was telling us all about this new law that they passed and how we're going to have unified sports. And I don't know, it was kind of a lot that day. I had a lot going on in my head. Pretty busy. And he had bocce set up, court just like this. PVC pipe. I don't know if you guys ever play bocce, but our bocce balls are modified. Normally they're big and they're heavy and they're hard, but these are soft rubber. They're filled with gel, so you can play on the wood floors. And he demonstrated it. And he starts talking, students with special needs are going to be able to do this. It's going to be, a legitimate high school sport. And they're going to be playing with students without special needs. And I'm like, man, this sounds great. I am all about this. So we left there, the professional development day, and I called my athletic director. Her name is Miss Nissel. You'll meet her here in a little bit. Got a picture of her. And she's like, I said, Miss Nissel, you're hiring a coach for this unified bocce team, right? She said, yes. I said, it's mine. I want it. Don't post it. Don't ask anyone. Don't interview anyone. I got this. Now, I don't know if she actually did post it or not, but I did end up getting it, obviously, which was great because I knew it was something I needed to be a part in after I heard about it. And so unified sports, here's the law. And what's really cool is Maryland was one of the first ones. They're leading the way, paving the way here for this unified sports. And Maryland is usually pretty good when it comes to special education and Special Olympics and those types of things. And so unified sports, I kind of hit on a little bit. Basically, the state of Maryland required through legislation that every school system in the state has to have unified sports in some way, shape, or form. So it doesn't matter what it is. Most of the schools got together. We kind of do the same thing. Most, at least for our county and our surrounding counties, is tennis in the fall, which is going on right now, bocce in the winter, and track and field in the spring. So some of the schools do weight training. They have some other sports that they do, mostly on the eastern shore of Maryland. But this was great because every school had to have it. So you didn't even have a choice, even if some schools were hesitant. You had to have it through the laws. And it opened up so many doors and so many avenues that we're going to talk about, allowing just opportunities where they didn't exist before. Very exciting stuff. So some facts about Maryland, and the one I really want you to focus on is the number of schools engaged in unified sports. So we have 60 schools engaged in unified sports. And right now it's basically just at the high school level. I'm not sure if it's trickling down into middle schools yet. I know at the elementary level, I teach some of the unified sports. Like I'll teach bocce. I always have a bocce unit with my elementary school kids. And I use that as an opportunity to teach them all about people with special needs and all kinds of different ways to adapt and modify and just familiarize them that, we're all different. Everybody. Me, you, everybody's different. That's okay. And they really do a nice job with it. But that 60 schools, I want you to remember that number because we're going to come back to it here in a little bit. So who here has played athletics of some type in their life? If not everybody, it's pretty close, right? So what was that about? What are sports about? Why did we play? And I'll take real answers. Teamwork, great. Challenge, love it. Okay. To compete, absolutely. How about winning? Gotta win, right? Man, the competitiveness. I'm one of the most competitive people to a fault that I've ever met. Even to this day, every day. I played football from 12 until I couldn't play anymore in college. Season was over my last year and I'm out. And I tried a couple flag football leagues. That didn't work out because I was too busy hitting people. They didn't ask me to come back. Tackling people in flag football is apparently frowned upon. So I'm like trying to find ways to be competitive, and working out by myself is basically the only thing I can find. But man, I loved it. Here was a picture in 2010. My track and field team, my girls were lucky enough to win the state championship in the state of Maryland for 2A, and every day I'm there. I'm hooping and hollering. I'm jumping up and down, enthusiastic. Coach, do we have to practice handoffs today? Yeah, we do. But we did it yesterday. That's right, and the day before, and every single day we're going to practice handoffs. We have to be the best. Got to be the best. Got to be competitive. Got to work harder than everybody else. I mean, that was me. That was my life. That was football, weightlifting, whatever it was I was doing. I had to be the best. I had to compete. And that was it for me. Like, I had to win, always. But bocce just isn't that way. And it's completely changed my look on everything. Now I'm still competitive. I'm an Eagles fan, NFL. I watch those games. I'm yelling at the TV. Hey, no, come on. I'm yelling at the TV. I'm still competitive, but there are certain times when you got to take a step back and you know what? This isn't about winning. When we started, this is Miss Nissel. I was telling you about her, and she'd probably kill me if she knew I threw her picture up here. But she was the athletic director, and when this whole thing started out, when I left that professional development day, and I went to her and I said, look, in the wintertime, we got to get this rolling. What do we do? She said, I don't know. What do we do? I don't know. This is the first time for anyone anywhere. I'm pretty sure our actual program is the first in the country as far as organization and legislation and all that stuff. So we sat down in our office and said, all right, what are we going to do? It's a legitimate high school sport. You get a varsity letter. So for me, I got varsity letters in football. I got varsity letters in track. I ran it a little bit. Never did a winter sport. I have students now who do unified tennis in the fall, unified bocce in the winter, unified track and field in the spring. They get the triple threat award. I got a video of my buddy David coming up here in a little bit, I believe, and he's gonna let you know he's a triple threat winner. So when he graduates, and my buddy Paul, I don't think Paul's up here yet. Paul's actually, this is Paul right here. Well, you'll see a lot of Paul. He's got 3 varsity letters all 4 years. Okay, I mean, I had a third of that maybe. And he's a student with special needs. Paul has autism, and he kills me as far as varsity letter goes. And it's wonderful. I know that we had a gentleman on our team, which I'll talk about in a little bit as well, Zach Schreiber. He's a Division I collegiate football athlete. He went to Liberty University. He got a varsity letter in football. Obviously, he's pretty legit at that. He got a varsity letter in bocce with his buddy Michael Vogel, who you'll meet. And he got a varsity letter for me as we set the tri-state area record in a men's 4x2 for track and field. I mean, this is an elite athlete, and he's getting one of his varsity letters is through bocce unified sports, and I just absolutely love it. So with Miss Nissel and I, we knew it had to be legitimate. So we knew right off the bat, we're playing the national anthem at every bocce match, which sounds kind of weird, but in the beginning, schools weren't doing that. It just didn't pop in their head. I guess they didn't consider it a real sport yet. We would announce every single member of every single team for our home bocce matches. So not only do our kids get recognized, so do the other ones. I made it a point we have a senior night for our seniors. I made it a point, now I do write-ups for each of my seniors, and I read them out to everybody. Even in the beginning, before word got out, because nobody even knew what bocce was, let alone what unified sports are and what this whole deal is. So we would give a synopsis of the game, go over the rules, so everybody understood the game that's there watching, because we could get fans there. We could get people in the stands. We could do that just by promoting and getting family and friends and everybody involved, the student body. And we even bring our cheerleaders to all of our bocce matches. Even our very first bocce match we ever had, we had the cheerleaders come out. It's pretty great. Still the only school in our county to do that, or at least, I mean, maybe more than our county. I don't know. We basically stay in county for our matches, but still the only one. I'm hoping it catches on. And so this picture in the middle here, another thing we needed to make sure we did was at our county tournaments, we did the same thing. No matter where you finish in the county, you got your name called. And here, the gentleman in the wheelchair, his name's Adam, and his brother, Michael Barnhart, his older brother, has Down syndrome. So their father there's in the background taking a picture, but Michael in the blue jacket, he was up in the stands. He's done, he's graduated, he's no longer on the bocce team, but they called Adam's name, and he comes out of the stands, walks over and just gives his brother a hug right in the middle of the room in front of everybody. It was awesome. It was completely unsolicited. It just happened. It was a pretty touching moment. Another thing I want to do is continuing with building unity and building a family and really getting what bocce and unified sports is all about is I always have a pizza party at the end of the year for my kids. We used to meet at CC's Pizza, but sometimes we had trouble getting rides there. So I said, you know what? We're going to skip practice at the end of the year, one practice, and we're going to have a pizza party together. We get there and we hang out, and you wouldn't know who the star golfer is in there or the student who just does the unified sports. You'd never know the difference. I mean, it's pretty great. And so the students, as a whole, just the entire school really bought into this unified sports. And it was slow at first, like I said, because we didn't know what it was. And I feel like a lot of times people are afraid of what we don't know. They're afraid of the unknown. And that was bocce. That was unified sports. And I do bocce. I talk about it all the time. Even there's track and field, there's tennis, but bocce was the first one. It was the first sport we tried. It was the one that I coach. Track and field came after, and tennis came even after that. So bocce is the one I really focus on. But the students really bought in, more so than I ever thought that they would. And it was really great to see. I mean, you can tell right here, I guarantee you cannot tell me the students with the special needs and the students without. We're all one. We all love everybody. And my buddy here, this is at my elementary school. So I have my buddy here in a wheelchair, and I asked a question. And I hope that this is just in general how the students feel about helping one another and being there for one another. I also hope it's part of the environment that I build in my classroom. We'll call him Dave. Who wants to help Dave with his bocce ramp today? Every hand in the room goes up. Everybody wants to help out. Nobody's shy, nobody's afraid, nobody's scared. And that's fantastic. I love it. Here today, we used a rolled up piece of carpet as a ramp because that's all we had. Dave has trouble rolling his bocce ball, so we get him a ramp. That's what we used that day. So we have kids helping him out. Some days we had a plastic gutter from the outside that we use. Some days we use a cardboard box. Whatever we can do, however we can modify it and make it happen, we do. And then another thing we had was we have a tech high school in our county. This is not a picture of what they did, but we challenged them to build ramps because you are allowed to use ramps in competition. We challenged them to build ramps for us, and they built ramps for a couple of schools that needed ramps. So here we are. They don't have a bocce team. It's a tech high school. They don't have sports. Those students go, if they want to play sports, they go to their home school for the sports. But here they are building bocce ramps for the other schools that need them, which is pretty great. We need to break down walls, and there are walls. Invisible, I get it, but they are there. Me personally, and this is embarrassing, I'm not embarrassed by much, but I am embarrassed by this, and I know it's not my fault, but I was very sheltered growing up. Okay, I talked to some of you. My family's from southern West Virginia. Okay, I grew up with a single parents, me, my sister, my dad. He was an airborne ranger in the Army, and he was a police officer. We had deer antlers for door handles. Okay, I wasn't too cultured growing up. But it's okay. Everything turned out okay. I was never really, besides my middle school summer camp tenure, I was never really exposed to students or people with special needs. And it was, I don't know if taboo is the right word, but it was kind of taboo. Like I didn't know. And I kind of shied away. I stayed away all through school, all through high school. Never really got involved until that Tournament of Champions. And then it was like, okay, there's something here. They're not different. I mean, we're all different, but they're not different. Like everybody, we're all in this game together. And 70% of school-age students are uncomfortable around someone with special needs, and that is shocking. Like 70%, that's almost everybody. That's 3/4 of the population, almost, of people in school are uncomfortable being around students with special needs. Why? At least for me, it was exposure. Not something I was exposed to. I wasn't able to take the opportunities that were in front of me to do that. I could have been an aide in high school for a special education classroom. I could have volunteered at Special Olympics events, whatever. But I never did. Just wasn't set in my lap, maybe the way that it could have been. 13% of all public school children have special needs in some way, and I'll never say disabled. But just a thing. The Special Olympics of Maryland, they use the word intellectual disabilities. I'll never do that. This is a personal thing for me. I went to speak to Congress, and they said, hey, Bobby, when you're doing this, I notice you always say special needs, but we use, because we were pitching for some funding, we use intellectual disabilities. I said, wow, I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know, but I'm not going to do that. Because just the word disability means they're not able. And I'm telling you right now, these kids, they're able, for sure. And I'll never do that. But 13% of all school children have special needs. So we have 70% of the people being afraid of a whole nother 10% more so of the population in the building. And I think if we can just be I don't know, with this unified sports, with Special Olympics and social inclusion just in general, being able to raise that exposure and get people involved, I think it would really go a long way. All right. So, this is tough for me. This is where I always cry. This is a second moment that changed my life. Michael Vogel is this little guy right here. Now this picture, he was on my inaugural bocce team. And Zach Schreiber was his partner. So the students with special needs, they're the athletes. And the students without special needs are the partners. And the goal is to partner them up, an athlete and a partner, and have them work together. So Michael Vogel loves Zach. Zach was his guy, always. Every practice, every match, they're inseparable, even in the school day. And I'll hopefully touch on that a little bit later about just the school environment and climate, how it changed through unified sports. And it sounds silly, but I'm telling you, it did. So this is actually taken this past spring. I was invited through the Special Olympics of Washington County. They had a send-off, well, I guess it was in the winter, a send-off party for someone from our county who was competing in the Winter Games, the World Games for the Special Olympics. And I show up at the bowling alley where the party is, and they're having a Challenger Bowling League game. And sure enough, here's Michael Barnhart. He was a gentleman in the blue jacket hugging his brother. Adam was bowling at the time of this picture. And here's Michael Vogel. Hadn't seen him for a while. He comes up, and he sits next to me and goes, "Coach, you're a nice boy." That's what he said to me. I said, "Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that." But this is a story I told to Congress. Sitting around a table, I'm crying. I got congressmen across from me at the table crying. It was pretty wild. But I'll try to keep it together. So it was our very first bocce match we had ever had. And again, nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows what to expect. We're just rolling with it, doing the best we can. We do the national anthem. We announce everybody. We give the rules of the game, and we start. And we're playing back and forth. We actually had a wrestling match there earlier that day, and we had more people at our inaugural bocce match than they had at the wrestling match earlier than that. And I don't know if you know about, you probably don't, but North Hagerstown High School wrestling is legit. We just had a kid win the world championship, #1 on planet Earth, from our school as a wrestler. And we had more people at our bocce match than they did at the wrestling match, which I thought was, hey, this is great. Like, we're at least on the right track. We're doing something good here. And so Michael gets up, and he always did this thing. When it was his turn to roll, he'd get his ball, and he'd step out there. And bocce's crazy. Everyone's looking at you. I mean, it's intense. And he's up there, he's all by himself, and he always stand like this. And he'd eye it up. I'm talking 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and you're like, all right, Michael. And he let that thing go. And he rolled his ball. Now, the object of bocce is to roll the big bocce ball and get as close to the palina as possible. He rolled his bocce ball, and it stopped touching the palina. And that crowd went nuts. I'm talking insane. Everybody on their feet, everybody going crazy. I've done a lot of things, sporting events in my life. I scored a lot of touchdowns, broken long runs down the sideline, intercepted a pass to win a game in college in front of 10,000 fans. I have never heard or felt fans like that. I've never felt that in my life, what I felt that day. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Whew. I'm supposed to be this big tough guy, football player, right? Coach Waugh here, I'm tearing up. So I walk away, I'm trying to gather myself, and I walk by the official for the bocce match, who's one of my assistant track coaches. I said, Liz, I'm about to cry. She's like, already am? So I'm like, all right, so I walk away from her, and right when I get together, I look up in the stands, and there's Michael's grandmother. Waterfalls. Bawling. Michael's dad, I don't think he was ever in the picture. I don't know if he was in jail or what. Mom had passed away a few months before the bocce season started. So he's living with grandma. And there she is with her grandson who never had this opportunity before. Never heard a crowd. Never heard his name chanted. And he's got it now. He just had it. And that's not even the best part, I don't think. Unified sports brings us together. We have students with special needs. We have students without special needs. Teaming up. Michael does that shot. Crowd goes nuts. I can't watch. I'm walking around trying to gather myself. Michael throws his arms up. He's jumping up and down in the air. He turns around, he runs and sprints to Zach. Hugs. His partner. It's the first person he went to. Not his coach, not his grandma. He went to his partner. That's who he wanted to celebrate with. That's who he wanted to share that moment with. And that is what unified sports is all about. That's it right there. That moment changed my life. As soon as I saw that, that's it. I'm doing Special Olympics. I'm doing unified sports forever. Have to. I can't. That feeling, seeing that, witnessing that, being a part of that, you can't put it into words. I try, but you can't. A lot of opportunities we've gotten from this, for my kids. Me too, but mostly for my kids. I told the Special Olympics invited me to go to Capitol Hill, and they wanted me to bring a student along. And I thought, what better student to bring than Paul? I have never in my life been associated with a more popular high school student than Paul Brown. I'm not kidding you. He could not walk through the hallways and get to class on time because he has to stop and say hi to everyone. Everyone's giving him a high five. They're giving him hugs. I'm not kidding. We'd be in practice. I'm like, Paul? He's across the gym talking to somebody over there. But Paul, get over here. He rolls his ball. Paul, he's over there talking to somebody else. I mean, the most popular kid I've ever met. And a lot of it came with unified sports. And he was able to share that story with Congress, which I thought was really neat. He'd never been to Washington, D.C. He's all about the Washington Monument. That's his thing. He loved it. That was his favorite part of the whole trip, I think. It was a one-night stay, 2-day stay. Madam Secretary DeVos showed up. She gave a little speech, which I thought was, she's the head of education for the country. I thought that was pretty nice of her to do that. We got to meet a lot of people there. 39 different states were represented. Paul made a lot of friends. During this time, one of the people we met was this young lady on the left right here. Her name is Dana Schiltz. She is from Wisconsin. She has Down syndrome. She's a snowboarder. And when I say she's a snowboarder, I mean she's one of the best in the world. She is a multiple gold medal winning snowboarder in the World Special Olympic Games. She just won 3 golds this past spring in Austria. I believe it was 3. Anyone in here snowboard stuff know who that is? Hannah Teeter. She is an Olympic gold medal winning snowboarder. They are best friends, like legit best friends. They chat and hang out. They do unified competitions together. So Hannah shows up to the World Games. She shows up to the X Games, the Winter X Games. They do unified events. They both got a silver medal in the unified games. The X Games, I'm sorry. So Dana Schiltz here, she has an X Games medal, silver, pretty neat. And then her and I talked, so I knew this was coming, but I'm sitting there on my TV, World Games are up, I get to watch her have the fastest time, man, woman, child, didn't matter. She posted the fastest time in her event for snowboarding, obviously gold medal. That's on ABC, national TV, and I don't know, maybe 2 months ago, I'm sitting flipping through channels, ESPN. Let's watch the ESPYs. There's Michelle Obama on stage at the ESPYs, and Dana's standing right beside her getting an ESPY award. That girl right there has an X Games medal, gold medals from the World Games, and an ESPY. She's got it all. She got there at this dinner right before DeVos got up there, and she told her story. She talked about how much she hated school. People made fun of her. People teased her. She hated going to school. She was scared, just despised it. And I'm talking to her, I'm like, Dana, yeah, think about this. Those people that bullied you, those people that treated you bad, just because of your special need, they are sitting at home with their feet propped up on a couch, flipping through channels. Who do they see? You. You're on ESPN. You're on ABC. She told me one time, she goes, I know that one NFL player. What's his name? I was like, I don't know. She goes, well, he was actually in the Special Olympics. I was like, Jamal Charles, the best running backs in the NFL, until last year he blew out his knee. Do you know him? She's like, yeah, we did this whole thing on ESPN. So I Googled it. Sure enough, there's a picture, her sitting right next to Jamal Charles on the stage, right? I mean, this girl is big time. And I'm like, Dana, you win. You win. You have an ESPY at your house. You have gold medals. You have an X Games medal. All those people, they made fun of you. Like, do you see how this turns around? Like, you won. Yeah, it sucked, and you dealt with that, and no one should ever feel the way that you felt. But look who's on top now, Dana. It's you. You get the last laugh, and I love that. Man, I love that. And down here, I got to do something called Annapolis Day, and it's basically the Capitol Hill Day, but for the state of Maryland. And I brought my buddy Luke this time. I kind of wanted to branch out and have another student come with me. So I brought Luke, and we got to, that was a picture of us getting recognized on the floor of the Senate. They did a little thing for Luke. And that was really neat. We got to talk to senators. We had a meeting with the lieutenant governor. We almost had the governor, but last minute he had a meeting, had to step out. So we did get to meet with the lieutenant governor, which is pretty cool. The secretary for disabilities, which I think Maryland's the only state that even has that position. We got to meet and talk with her for a while, Carol Beatty. And we were on the floor of the House as well. And we were there. We were meeting like all representatives from our area, talking to them, chatting for a little bit. And our delegate, Brett Wilson, came up, and we introduced ourselves, and I was last. I'm Bobby Waugh. He goes, Waugh, you that Facebook guy? And I said, yep. I post all my stuff on Facebook, Waugh PE, my last name, Waugh PE. And he knew me from all the stuff I posted on there, like with the Special Olympics and all that stuff. And I thought, man, that's kind of cool. That's all right. So another opportunity. This video here is my man David. He just joined us this year. Was his first year for Unified Sports. He's a sophomore, junior now. He's pretty outgoing. And 2 minutes, this is our awards banquet for our school, for our high school. So we have a couple hundred people in this room. 2 minutes before it goes on, my athletic director comes up to me and goes, Bobby, should we have David do like the opening ceremonies? I said, yes, we absolutely should. Completely unscripted. This is just a little like 60 seconds. David opens it up for us. He forgets about me. He remembers, but he does forget about me at first, which is funny. He also loves Star Wars, so keep that in mind as we're doing this. And he would not take off his sunglasses. Yeah, David's he's a cool kid. All right, so I told you to remember that number. Now you see all these opportunities that these students have through Unified Sports Special Olympics. That number, do you remember the number of schools in Maryland? 60, right? Number of schools engaged in Unified Sports in the state of West Virginia? 3. That's it. I found this out. I did a presentation similar to this for Dr. T, one of her classes, last semester, and I called Special Olympics of West Virginia, got some of these stats, and it was, man, let's get on this. Once I found this out, I contacted the guy in charge of Special Olympics for West Virginia. I sent him 2 emails in March. I'm still awaiting reply. But I work, my one school is 5 minutes from Potomac River. I'm 5 minutes from West Virginia. I can help. Berkeley County, I can help. I can do whatever it is that they need me to do to take care of this. And I'm hoping we can do that, because this whole program, Unified Sports, is incredible. And the more people we get involved, the better. And hopefully we can change that number. Now, he doesn't know I did this. This is a secret. But I found a little video of Mr. King right here. This was, I think, the 3rd state bocce championship that we had. And they asked, oh, no. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Trey. There we go. Trey King.
Thank you. I haven't seen that in a while. That's
Yeah, it was a little surprise for you.
yeah. Basketball was my first direct experience with special needs, and Bobby Waugh was my track coach at the time. He was like, "Hey, got an opportunity for you. So why don't you come out to do basketball with us?" And at the time, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't necessarily thinking for the right reasons. In my mind, I was like, "Okay, I just stopped playing basketball. So you're telling me I got to go roll a ball, get a varsity letter, let's do it." But I went in with an open mind, and looking back now, there's so much more that I took away, and I'm so blessed I've had that opportunity. I've played multiple sports over the years, football in college. I sustained an injury where I couldn't play anymore, and at that point, you have people asking you, do you miss playing? What is it that you miss? And that's when you start to look back and reflect, and for me, I didn't just think about football, I thought about all my athletic experiences. And for some reason, bocce ball's a recurring theme. There's so much that I took away from it. I forget what the term was for us, I believe. The special needs athletes were the athletes, and there was a helper or something for us.
You a partner.
Partner, yeah. And we were kind of expected to help them in the process of playing the sport, but looking back, there's so much that they helped me with in terms of becoming the man that I am and finding my direction in life. So right now I'm interested in long-term care, working with the elderly, really passionate about equality. And I see the importance of equality in all boundaries, like Bob was talking about earlier, breaking down those walls. There's so much that we all bring to the table, regardless of our background, regardless of what it is, there's so much that we bring. And if we can break down those walls and see each other for who we truly are, and those traits that be perseverance, or just being very loving and compassionate, or being very determined, nothing is going to get in my way. And we can break those down and see, the similarities we all possess. I think we're much better off as a unit. That's when we can really start to get things done, not just on the court, not just in the classroom, but as a society. So I'm very brief in this, but that's just an example of how working with people of different backgrounds, putting down those barriers, see who they are, what they bring, and trying to take away from that and go forward with that has helped make me a better person. And I'm forever grateful for Bobby Waugh and him giving me that call and asking me to come to basketball, because it introduced me to a side of life that I'm very passionate about. So that's all that I have. Thank you guys for listening.
So I think one great thing that he just threw out there was what he took away from it, because a lot of the focus is on the students with the special needs who they get these opportunities that they've never had before. A student in a wheelchair, we can't play soccer. We're not on our high school track and field team, but we're on our unified team, and they get those opportunities now. But everybody wins. And not just the partners, but the coaches, the family members. I know during our very first bocce state tournament ever, state of Maryland, they actually asked Michael Vogel and Zach Schreiber. They carried out the torch for that one. And as soon as it was done, there wasn't a dry eye in the place. And I went up to Michael and Adam's mom, Michael Barnhart, the two brothers. And she was just weeping, and she gave me a hug. She said, "I've been fighting so long for this, like their whole lives. I've been fighting so long for something like this, just this opportunity." But it touches everyone. It touches everyone involved. No matter who you are, no matter how you're involved, it will touch you positively, I promise. So where do we go from here? You saw those numbers, at least for the state of West Virginia, and I always throw those in there if I'm presenting in the state of West Virginia, because I think hopefully it hits home for a lot of us. I mean, me personally, I think we just need to get that exposure. I think we need to get people involved one way, shape, or form. There are times, and I won't lie to you, there are times I'll sit at home and there'll be an event coming up. And I don't have to go, but I can go. I know it's an option. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, man, do I want to go to happy hour with my buddies? Or do I want to go volunteer for this Special Olympics event? There are times that I choose happy hour with my buddies. Okay, maybe a rough week, maybe I needed it, I don't know. Every single time I've done that, I promise you, I've sat there and I thought, I wonder if I would have went to the Special Olympics event. Every single time I've done the Special Olympics event, not once have I thought, I wonder if I'd have went to happy hour. Because you really see what's important, and everybody takes so much from these events and from just social inclusion in general, getting everyone involved, everyone together, and it's really, it's the most incredible thing I've ever been a part of in my life, and I thank God every day for allowing me to be a part of something like this and something this great. So, thank you very much. Appreciate you all coming and allow me to do this. Thank you.